Good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure for me to be here. First and foremost, let me apologize for being late. It was a morning flight followed by a big traffic jam, so that caused a serious amount of problem. Let me first thank my friend Bhaskar Pramanik for giving me this opportunity. And the theme of the event, technology as a catalyst for driving growth in the Indian industry, is a very relevant one. Unfortunately, my experience in the manufacturing industry is pretty low. I have spent almost all my life in the service industry. But I have had tremendous experience in using technology for creating growth, creating processes, creating opportunities for employment. Those are the kind of experiences I have had over the last 30 years. I have also seen the IT and ITES industry grow tremendously by leveraging technology. So one would think that we provide technology for others, but what we also do is to leverage technology for our own growth. So, for example, when I started out in Infosys years back in 1981, if you look at the history of Infosys, and the two major bets which we took when we started out, I remember a lot of people asking me this question: what were the two important bets, one or two important bets which you started out with? And we took two important bets when we started out with. That was that technology will become ubiquitous across the world over the next 30 years. Remember, this was in 1981. In 1981, it used to take 2 years to get a phone in India. I remember my first phone call after reaching US to India, it took 24 hours. You book a call and wait for 24 hours before you can talk to your better half in India. That was the situation in 1981. And we took a bet that technology will become ubiquitous and it will improve the velocity of business, it will improve the quality of life. That was one. And the second bet which we took was globalization. We took a bet that service industry will get globalized. If you look at about 30 years behind our time, that is between 1970, 1980, 1990, manufacturing industry was getting globalized. Supply chain was getting globalized, manufacturing industry was getting globalized, but service industry was not getting globalized in 1981. It was unheard of to think that you can provide services from across the world. But we took a bet that globalization will happen. So two important bets. But both the bets did play out over a period of time. In fact, that is the reason the IT and the ITES industry got built in India, and both of these bets played out. Not only technology became ubiquitous across the industry and our own life, and globalization happened in the service industry. One of the reasons was technology itself. Technology itself allowed us to build our industry. So the communication technology evolved, and the cost of communication technology keep coming down. The Moore's law, which said that every 18 months the cost of communication will keep coming down by half, played out over the last 30 years, and the industry leveraged technology. So, for example, if you look at us today, in many ways we are not that different from a manufacturing industry. If you look at us today, we run about 8,000 programs across the globe. How do you do this? We are running about 8,000 programs across the globe. The foundation for this 8,000, the running, not the programs, the running of the programs is built on pure technology. We have processes and systems which are based on technology. We have communication which runs across technology. We collaborate using technology across our senders and with our customers. We have a huge supply chain. In our case, the supply chain is actually human beings. We manage a supply chain of 165,000 people using technology as the framework. So as an industry, once the growth picked up somewhere in mid-90s, one of the conscious decisions which we took was that we will leverage enormous amount of technology to build this organizational foundation. Remember, in 1981 we were a SME, we were not a large corporation. We were probably, 1995, in 97 we had 4,000 people. Today we have 165,000 people. So every step of the way I used to get challenged by saying that how do you scale this 4,000 people to the next level? How do you take it to 10,000? How do you take it to 20,000 and 50,000? And my answer was always using technology as a framework, technology as the enabler, technology as the foundation for creating scale, creating processes, creating giving confidence to our customers, building collaboration. So a lot of these principles are applicable to any other industry, and I see that being applied to many other industries today. Now today we live in a completely different world. We live in a completely digitized world. You experience it every single day. And the first example which usually comes to my mind is that when I travel, I am in New York very often, and it's a very, very pleasant city to be in. And you walk out of your house and you walk into the street. There are street vendors who will sell you food, which is a very common thing in New York. And it is pretty safe, so you can eat. Nothing will happen to you. Importantly enough, olden days they would ask for cash. Cash was way in which you will transact business. Now if you walk out, what you will find is, I don't know how many of you have seen the Square thing. The Square is a small box, the size of this, which you plug into your iPhone, and it acts as a point of sale machine. So all you have is an iPhone. You have this small square thing which you plug onto your into your iPhone, and you use this entire phone as your point of sale, and which is able to do transactions at half a dollar, $1, $1.50. Just imagine, I see them as micro industries. They are not SMEs. They are actually micro industries. They are not even SMEs. But the capacity to scale, the speed of business, the velocity of business, the way you can conduct transactions is enormous. Right? They are all linked to into a banking system. So I was talking to one of my clients in US who actually provide this service. The next step of that is that the bank is now thinking of giving micro loans, because these are people who are identifiable. These micro industries, which are the micro vendors, are today in the system, which means the banks can see the amount of transaction each of these vendors are doing. You are talking about a small cart where you are selling food, but today it is becoming a micro industry and a micro vendor, and using technology you are mainstreaming that whole process. You are not only mainstreaming that process, now you are trying to get additional services built on that same platform. So you are doing transactions using credit card, velocity of business is increased, you are able to get credit because there is transparency of business. Can you imagine applying the same philosophy to a small scale industry, whether it is manufacturing, whether it is retail, any other industry? How do you apply those kinds of principles in small scale industry? It can be very interesting because as
Bhaskar was saying, today it is possible to do because the transaction cost. In olden days when I was growing up, this will require a mainframe to be installed, and that will be some $10 million. Today nothing needs to be installed. The Square will cost you $49. Similarly, today you can provide similar services to small scale industry because the cost of transaction, the cost of the platforms have come down drastically. So there are two parts to this puzzle. Number one, somebody created Square, otherwise it will not happen. So you need to innovate. So the IT industry needs to create these platforms, otherwise it will not be available. So there is a need for even innovation, there is a need for application of similar principles into the Indian environment.
Actually, when I was leaving office, I was going to give an example, and my people told me, please don't talk about it, Shibu, because it will look like a sales job, but I'm still going to do it. We have built a platform called Trade Edge, which is available in India. Actually, it is now implemented in 70 countries across the globe, and it is not meant for SMEs. Actually, it is meant for kirana stores, the small stores which are there in the villages. But we don't sell it to them. We sell it to, for example, Kraft. Kraft is a very large CPG manufacturer, and we sell it to them. What it allows them to do is to get visibility to what is happening in the small village store. The process is like this. The village store, the distributor is in the middle of the platform. You have the CPG provider, the distributor, and the end store. Whenever, in olden days, what used to happen was that the distributor will go in the morning, ask the store owner, what are the products you need? You take an order, you take it back, in the evening you will go and deliver. Today, using the mobile technology, the entire supply chain is digitized. So, in the central, the distributor can see the velocity of product movement in the small store. You are talking about a small store in a village. They no more go there to figure out what they need to place order for. What they do is they send in a SMS in the morning saying that these are the things which are going to be out of stock in the next 24 hours. Please confirm that we can deliver it in the evening. And the owner can confirm saying that based on the SMS, they can confirm saying that yes, these things are going to be out of stock. They will deliver it in the evening. You are talking about a small village store where you have possibly 1,000 rupee transaction on a daily basis. But the velocity of business, the ability to be, the visibility which you build, is an extremely innovative solution. And that is a clear application of technology. Without technology, you cannot do it. Because the cost of transaction to track every single item in a small store is way too high unless you apply technology. So, as I said, I think the need of the hour is innovation from one side of the industry, which is the IT and IT industry, because the solutions which we have, which we sell to Reebok or Adidas, is not going to be applicable to the SMEs. The one I talked about is ours, but that is applicable, but most of the solutions we have are not applicable, which means that we have to rethink about how to build solutions in this industry, in this environment. That is one part of the story. Second part of the story is that there has to be a mindset for adaptation, because any of these new technologies are not only about technology itself, it's also about behavioral change. Another product which we have created, because my experiences are much more Infosys oriented, is the Kraft itself. We have built a ice box which can be monitored using SMS. So you have this fridge where you keep drinks or other products. When you take it out, the distributor can know that the supply is coming down. So they can actually figure out what is the number of bottles left. The challenge is that it has to be powered down all the time. So if you actually deliver it to the villages, and if they power it down, then it will not work. So there is a mindset issue also, because the mindset has to change within the industry for those kind of innovative solutions to be adapted, and that will require not only technology adoption, but the change in process itself, change in mindset itself is, in my mind, I think that is required. So if you can bring these two together, I think there can be tremendous improvement in productivity, tremendous improvement in velocity of business, tremendous improvement in market reach, and various other areas where where industry can benefit. Also, as a country, we are a country of contradictions, right? On one end, we have IT industry, which employs 2 million people. India produces 1 million engineers a year, but you have 16 million children who are not in school. If you look at the healthcare, you have 70% of the healthcare in urban areas, but 70% of the people are in the rural areas.
So we are truly a country of contradiction, and application of technology would be one solution to address some of these gaps. If you look at healthcare, for example, you can look at healthcare adoption through telemedicine. You can look at micro clinics in villages. If you look at education, you can look at education using technology. And a lot of technology adoption can happen in these areas, which can actually build, bridge these gaps of, the gaps of where it is available and where it has to be delivered. So in a country like India, whether it is SMEs, whether it is addressing social challenges, I think technology adoption, use of technology and creating innovative solution is extremely important. And and the last point I wanted to make was that, as I said, we are a very young country, and I think the need of the hour is to create employment. A lot of people talk about and give credit to the industry, the IT industry, for creating employment. Of course, we have created employment, probably 2 million people, and a secondary employment of maybe another 6 or 8 million people. But a country of this size cannot survive on one single industry. It has to survive on multiple industries. And I think that is where manufacturing comes into picture in a very, very big way. The ability to create employment and in a much more distributed fashion is much higher in various other industries. If you look at the IT industry, the employment is still created in certain parts of the country, certain urban areas. But when I look at other industries like small scale industries, whether it is manufacturing, whether it is logistics, whether it is retail, I think the ability to create employment is much, much higher and much more in a distributed manner. So, and also one single industry cannot address the problem of a country. It is not possible to address the problem of a country with one single industry, which means that we have to figure out a way to scale all the industries, whether it is manufacturing. I also believe that other industries also have to come up, but manufacturing is an industry which has the potential to create enormous amount of employment. And that scaling can only be on a foundation of technology because of various factors, whether it is about collaboration, whether it is about communication, whether it is managing your supply chain, whether it is doing price discovery. It can only be built on a platform of technology. So it is very, very important for us to adapt technology into all of these sectors, because it will allow us to create employment. It will allow us to productively employ the youth of this country. It will allow us to create progress within the society itself. So to conclude, I clearly believe that technology adoption led by the information technology industry, the technology adoption and the IT is a competitive advantage. Just like, as I said, as Infosys or any other technology company in this country has used it as a competitive advantage to velocity of business and to create customer connect. It also gives us an opportunity to bridge some of our development gaps, as I talked about, because technology can be a solution to bridge the development gaps which we have within the urban and the rural areas, the educated and the uneducated, the banked and the unbanked, those kinds of things. And lastly, it will be an enabler for employment creation, which is absolutely the need of the hour. Whether it is manufacturing, whether it is retail or any other industry, it will enable us to create jobs, and that is absolutely the need of the hour. Before I conclude, let me congratulate CII and Bhaskar for organizing this conference. I think these conferences are very, very important because this is where minds can come together, ideas can be generated, and eventually these ideas can be converted into action, and finally you will create impact, whether in the industry or in the society. Once again, thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. Thank you.